Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, May 30 hint at some major moments as Fairmont Crest heads into the weekend. First things first, it sounds like Catherine "Cat" Richardson will finally score some evidence that could bring Leslie Thomas down. During the Thursday, May 29 show, Jacob Hawthorne met with Cat to talk about a snapshot he snagged off hospital surveillance footage. The person appeared to be Leslie parading around as a nurse, which could connect her to injecting Laura Peterson with the potassium that caused her recovery to regress. Still, as the image was blurry, it was hard to confirm that the woman was Leslie. Even the Richardsons' loyal assistant, Mona Wilson, who is desperate to help the family bring Leslie down, couldn't say for sure if the woman was Leslie. Still, could Cat score an even better image? Then again, there's a good chance she gets her hands on Leslie's motorcycle helmet and boots. After all, during the BTG preview, there was a scene between Eva Thomas and Leslie that makes mention of this. From the sounds of it, Eva will use a spare key to sneak into her mom's apartment for the items. Will Eva be the one to hand over this evidence to Cat? If so, can she redeem herself in her sister's eyes? Speaking of Cat and Eva, BTG spoilers note that their dad will be desperate for a reunion with Nicole Richardson. With that said, added teasers for the May 30 episode suggest he won't know how to proceed with winning his wife back. Leslie's bombshell earlier this month rocked Nicole's life. She thought she had the perfect marriage, but it turned out to be a farce. Ted is a good person who made a terrible mistake, so can these two move past this to come back together? Will Ted solicit Cat's help? Finally, Anita Dupree will worry that past fears could resurface. The Dupree matriarch recently cleared the air with Tracy, her old Articulates group member. The good news is that they made amends, and they are inching closer to a reunion. However, the bad news is, Anita's ruthlessness from that time period was brought up. Anita was a very different person back then, and she relayed this to her husband, Vernon Dupree. Still, will Anita worry that being back in this singing dynamic could cause those same old traits to return? There's a very good chance an Articulates reunion will happen. All the ladies need is for Sharon to come aboard, and they can move forward. While it may take more talking to get through to the final member of the group, it sounds like this storyline is headed toward Anita and her former groupmates heading on stage again together. Still, Beyond the Gates spoilers suggest that with all this talk about how Anita used to be, could placing her in that same situation cause old bad habits to surface? Thursday's episode picks up with Dany's unannounced visit to Bill at Haley's, where she's come to share her best wishes for the parents-to-be. Just kidding. She's there to raise some fresh hell, and we thank her for it. Bill has always had a soft spot for babies, and now he'll have two in his house at the same time, you and that imaginary baby in your belly, Dany says in her most condescending voice. Rolling her eyes all the way to the back of her head, Haley replies, "Just because you can't handle the truth, that doesn't make it less real. You showing up here, jealous of an unborn child? That's beyond petty, it's pitiable." Haley tells Dany that her words are just as empty as she is, throwing this threat in for good measure. "If you keep getting in my face, insulting and denying my child's existence, I'll make sure you regret ever crossing me. You can already cut the tension in the living room with a knife." And that's before Bill joins the ladies mid-fight. Dany informs Bill that Haley's alleged pregnancy is merely a desperate figment of your wife's imagination, telling him that Haley made it all up in order to sink her low-class, though well-manicured, claws deeper into you. Things take an unexpected turn when Haley confirms Dany's suspicions that she lied about being pregnant until she starts laughing, mocking Dany and her baseless accusations. But Dany won't be deterred. She's convinced that Haley is merely covering her tracks for when she does eventually come clean. Tired of Dany's nonsense, Haley informs her that she's free to leave, but she does not go quietly. "You're good, Haley," she says. "You're very good. But as soon as that door closes behind me, you'll dissolve into tears, fall into Bill's arms, and try to prove that this pregnancy is real. And what do you know? That's exactly what happens. Haley tells Bill that she's confident, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that she's pregnant, confirming that she only said she wasn't to get under Dany's skin, which he totally understands. That said, he does have an important question to ask her, one that's vital to their future. How might this pregnancy affect their sex life? He says he's willing to abstain, but Haley is pleased to inform him that sex is actually healthy for the pregnancy process. Over at Orphagene's, Kat is a woman on a mission, pressuring Jacob to speed up the investigation into Leslie and Eva's involvement in Laura's many woes. Andra even hooks Kat up with security camera footage of a sketchy nurse who looks a lot like Leslie in a wig. Kat brings Mona into the situation to verify that Leslie is the woman in the footage, but she ends up bungling the investigation by leading Mona. Now that I know what I'm looking for, every fiber of my being says that must be Leslie, Mona tells them. But I'm not sure. Way to go, Kat. Leslie shows up at Ted's hotel room, and while he'd rather kick her to the curb, he decides it's better to just let her in, lest she create another public disturbance. So what is Leslie there for this time? She claims it's just to thank Ted for setting Eva up with a seat at the salon, but she obviously has ulterior motives. Leslie says she's worried about their daughter, claiming that Eva asked if Leslie and Ted would ever get back together. It's a hard no from Ted, so Leslie asks if there was ever anything real between them, but he shuts that talk down as well. Still, she says they need to show a united front as Eva's parents, even if they aren't technically in a relationship. Bitterness does not have to be the way forward, she tells him. Let's just try to forgive each other, for our daughter's sake. Offering Ted a glass of his favorite beer, Leslie shares her sob story. Marrying Alan was merely a means to an end, a man she thought would keep her safe. But Alan was incredibly dismissive of Eva, who built up a dream in her head about a knight in shining armor who would come and rescue them. After reminding Leslie that Nickel did nothing wrong in this situation, Ted shows her the door, where Kat is standing, horrified at the sight of Ted and Leslie alone together. Kat believes that nothing happened, but she still criticizes Ted for naively allowing Leslie to remain in his life. Since you can't seem to avoid getting wrapped up in her orbit, maybe it's because you want to be with her, she suggests, another thing Ted vehemently denies. The Doug-Vanessa-Joey triangle takes another dramatic turn when Doug directly telling Joey that it looks like he's interested in his wife. Maybe what you're telling me is that if you don't get what's yours, you'll take what's mine, Doug tells Joey, and he's not wrong. After some more flirting, Joey invites Vanessa to gamble at his casino, an invitation she happily accepts. Needless to say, Doug is very surprised to see her at one of the tables when he arrives. Doug sneaks away unseen, which is probably a good thing, because he'd hate to see Vanessa tell Joey that there's something more fun they could do on the table than play cards. With Vanessa right where he's always wanted her, Joey clears the room, instructing one of his employees to lock the door behind him. With some mood lighting and a little music, the room is suddenly transformed, and Joey and Vanessa go at it like animals right there on the table. Haunted by Haley and Bill's words, Dany decides to drown her sorrows at Uptown. Never mind that the bartender already announced last call. Doug also shows up, and Dany immediately invites him to join her. I hate to be blunt, but you look like something the cat dragged in, she tells him. The old friends then raise a glass to feeling all the feels and not liking it one bit. Cheers. Beyond the Gates spoilers suggest that Dany Dupree has been doing very well lately when it comes to getting over her ex, Bill Hamilton. She was hitting the alcohol pretty hard some weeks back, reacting to everything he did that pushed her buttons. After passing out and risking her life in the process from drinking too much, Dany decided on a change. She swore off the booze and moved on nicely. Still, with the recent news that Haley Hamilton is expecting Bill's child, will Dany turn to drinking once again? BTG fans saw Dany spiral rather quickly after her daughter, Chelsea Hamilton, shared Hailey's news during the Wednesday, May 28 episode. Dany hit 0 to 100 in seconds upon Chelsea's announcement regarding her stepmonster and even accused Hailey of faking the pregnancy. Fans know the chances of that are slim, considering she and Bill agreed to start trying, so it sounds like Dany will continue to have delusions about how terrible Hailey is. Dany will likely have meltdown after meltdown as Hailey's pregnancy progresses, just as she had violent outbursts every time Hailey and Bill celebrated a relationship milestone. From their new house to their wedding and honeymoon, Dany had a nasty reaction to each and every event and would get drunk and then lash out at the situation. There's no way Dany isn't turning to alcohol in the aftermath of Hailey's pregnancy news. The way Dany flipped a few weeks back and decided to refrain from drinking just seemed too easy. Dany clearly has an alcohol problem that requires more than just her making a promise to herself and following through. She needs rehab and therapy, so this pregnancy news will likely act as a trigger to relaunch Dany's alcoholism storyline. Still, how much destruction will she cause before she gets help? And how many people could she continue to hurt? Will Dany turn to drinking now that Hailey is pregnant? Share your thoughts. Tune into the CBS Soap Daily so you don't miss a moment of the drama. And visit this site often for the best Beyond the Gates spoilers, updates, and news. The Beyond the Gates What to Watch moments for Friday, May 30, 2025, reveal new problems for core characters. Kat's investigation into Leslie continues as Ted tries to reconnect with Nicole. Meanwhile, fears about the past stir Anita's mind. The drama is heating up on Friday's episode. Let's start with Kat, who has been investigating Leslie. A piece of evidence will come to light. This crucial piece of evidence could spell trouble for Fairmont Crest's resident villain. What will Kat do next? How will she plan to take Leslie down? And will it work? There is one unlikely person who could help Kat take Leslie down. Speaking of Leslie, she unleashed one heck of a truth bomb that shook up a marriage. Ted is struggling to repair his fractured marriage with Nicole. He's been trying hard to win her back. But will it work? Could Nicole and Ted work on their relationship? Or is it too late? Meanwhile, Anita fears the past. She has unresolved issues that could resurface. She had a tense reunion with Tracy. Anita couldn't do anything about it but tackle her past head-on. She admitted the mistakes that she made. Tracy doesn't see Anita as genuine. She wanted her to address the elephant in the room, her need to break up the band and go solo. Their conversation ended on an interesting note. However, Anita is convinced that her past could impact her future, including her relationship with Vernon. She admitted to him before that she wasn't always sweetness and light. What will Vernon think once the truth comes to light? The Thursday, May 29 episode of Beyond the Gates featured some extreme reactions and behaviors. Some characters came out on top, and others decidedly did not. Bill and Hailey. Hailey, Marquita Goings, stood up to Dany, Carla Mosley, and on top of that, she played mind games with Ms. Dupree. By the end of the episode, we still had no idea whether the woman was actually pregnant. We're leaning towards her faking it, because she made sure her sex life with Bill, Timon Kyle Durrett, didn't stall. She also made sure to tell Bill that they weren't moving anywhere, that they were staying in Fairmont Crest, Dany or not. And at the end of the day, Bill believed Hailey. He didn't even ask for proof. He's taking her at her word. Vanessa and Joey. Vanessa, Lauren Buglioli, and Joey, John Lindstrom, spent the entire episode together. First at Uptown, then at his casino playing poker. And when Vanessa's luck had her cleaning up at the tables, Joey took it to the next level and threw everybody out of the room. Then they proceeded to have more luck on the table. And you just know that Doug, Jason Graham, will eventually show up and see what's going on for himself. That's what you call winning, especially for Joey. Leslie. That woman knew what she was doing. Leslie Trisha Mangrant donned a wig and headed over to Ted's and basically wormed her way in and wouldn't leave. First, it was a gin and tonic. Then she was all, "Don't you still want me?" And then they were in a compromising position when Kat, Colby Muhammad, walked in. Leslie had a plan, and it worked out better than she thought it would. Then she celebrated in front of the mirror at her apartment. Leslie and her wigs luve to cause chaos. Dany. Dany is always a winner in our book, but in this episode, not quite as much. She went head-to-head against Haley, and she got some digs in. But she walked right into that house without an invitation and ended up having to face Bill and Haley. Threats ensued, of course, but hopefully, she has Bill wondering whether his young bride is actually pregnant. He needs to keep wondering. Ultimately, Dany wallowed in her vodka sours with another loser on this list, Doug. Apparently, Joey invited Doug to the casino to win back some of the money he lost. But that was a setup, right? So he can catch Vanessa and Joey in the middle of their risky business. The cardiologist did look like something the cat dragged in at Uptown when he joined Dany for some after-hours drinks. Ted. Ted's luck has turned, and who knows if he'll ever get his mojo back. Leslie had her way with him. She kept him off his game and seeing stars. And then just when Ted, Keith D. Robinson, laid down the law with her, Kat walked in on them and saw them in a compromising position. It looked bad because he couldn't get Leslie to leave his hotel room despite asking her to go 1,000,000 times. So what gives? And how does Ted proceed from here? Derek is the handsome and heroic firefighter on Beyond the Gates. He's also the boyfriend of Ashley, but recently their relationship has hit a rough patch. The couple seems destined for a split, and Derek will soon capture the attention of one lucky Fairmont Crest lady. Derek and Ashley are one of the many BTG couples who receive lots of attention. Recently, they took a big step in their relationship by moving in together. However, they're finding their new living situation to be stressful. With the couple fighting, Ashley is being comforted by Ander, who has a crush on the nurse. Although Ashley previously turned down Ander's advances, she could find herself giving in to temptation. Derek has always been suspicious about Ander, and if he catches Ashley with Ander, it'll confirm his worst fears. With Ashley dumping him for Andra, Derek will be left to mend a broken heart, and there's plenty of women who'd love to help him over his heartache. Kat is one possibility. Although Kat is dating Thomas, the young lawyer is proving he can't be trusted. Thomas has secretly been flirting with Eva and could end up breaking Kat's heart. With Derek and Kat both dealing with broken relationships, they could find themselves forming a bond. However, their budding romance will create drama since Kat is Ander's cousin. Speaking of Eva, she's someone who could possibly be Derek's love interest. She's become the town pariah since Ted and Leslie's affair scandal. Eva could use a friend, and Derek is a good guy who could help Eva get her life back on track. If BTG wants to go with drama, they could have Derek steal his best friend Jacob's wife, Naomi. Jacob and Naomi will be involved in Ashley and Derek's breakup drama. Naomi offering her support to Derek could spark an emotional affair, leading to problems for her marriage and her friendship.